I was the secret wife of the crown prince of New York's entertainment industry. After starring in a film as a substitute supporting actress, I was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. When I thought I had finally gained both love and career, his ex-girlfriend, Madison Young, suddenly reappeared. When Madison got caught up in a scandal, James Carter coldly said to me, "She's worked so hard, she's about to win Best Actress. I can't let anything go wrong. As long as you post online saying the person in the photos is you, I'll agree to any request you make." What I didn't know was that James had already arranged people behind the scenes to clean up Madison's scandal. It turned out that not only in the movies, but in real life too, I was nothing more than a stand-in. I calmly said, "James, the only thing I want is your signature on the divorce papers." Ever since I entered the industry, people had called me Little Madison Young. I always gently refuted them. My name is Emily Thompson. I am not Madison Young. For 3 consecutive years, Madison was nominated for Best Actress. She was the star with the best resources and the highest popularity in Hollywood. The day Madison returned to the US, the entertainment world was shaken. Even James, who had never once cared about celebrity gossip, was glued to the news about her. I saw his phone screen frozen on Madison's interview. I had acted in several films. Though they weren't blockbusters, I still gained a loyal fan base. Last night, my manager whispered that there were rumors I might be nominated for Best Supporting Actress for my role as a stand-in in my latest film. I was thrilled all night. Excitedly, I asked James, "Did you watch my new movie?" He barely lifted his eyes and replied coldly, "No. I don't have time for things like that." I pouted. He had never cared before. But tonight, I caught him distractedly scrolling through news about Madison. In the middle of the night, I woke up to see his tall figure standing in the hallway. I once told him I hated the smell of cigarettes, so James had quit smoking for me. But now, between his fingers was a lit cigarette, the ember glowing faintly before dimming. I heard him talking on the phone with someone. I nodded to myself, lips curling into a bitter smile. On the other end, Madison's manager scolded someone harshly. "That's enough, Liam. Don't talk nonsense." Since her debut, Madison Young has never once played a supporting role. These little side awards? Don't even dream of attaching them to her name. The words sounded like scolding, but the mockery was aimed straight at me. Hannah stood behind me, leaning in to whisper. One of them was Madison's assistant, Lily Adams, and the other was her manager, Victoria Wong. Hannah stepped in front of me, ready to fight back, but I caught her hand. I shook my head gently and whispered, "Let it go." Her lips tightened, and she fell silent. When they finally left, Hannah's face was full of frustration. Her voice trembled with anger. "Emily, why didn't you let me speak up for you?" I let out a quiet sigh. The only role people ever noticed me for was a supporting character. Meanwhile, Madison has already swept every major award. This year, if nothing changes, the Best Actress title will be hers too. If we tear off the mask now, no one in this industry will take my side. Hollywood has always been this ruthless. Ruthless enough to never let anyone breathe. After filming, Hannah drove me home. Her eyes widened as she looked around the luxury apartment complex. "Emily, don't tell me you saved every dollar you've earned all these years just to buy a condo here. The prices in Manhattan are the highest in the country." I shook my head. All my savings couldn't even cover the bathroom here. Hannah didn't know I was married. In fact, no one around me did. Before James Carter and I tied the knot, we signed a contract, an agreement to keep our marriage hidden. Enough of this. You need to take off your makeup and get some sleep. If your eyes are swollen tomorrow, it'll look bad at the award show. I nodded, smiling faintly. Got it. She wagged her finger. And no sneaking snacks behind my back. I nodded again. I know. Earlier tonight, Madison and her team were strutting around arrogantly. But now? Completely humiliated. Check the trending topics, Hannah urged. The master bedroom and the study were only separated by a single wall. As soon as I opened Twitter, a loud bang came from the other side, like someone slamming a door. I rushed out. James stood there, his face dark with fury. He tilted his head slightly, his sharp black eyes locked on me. His lips pressed into a thin line. In that moment, I could see the doubt and anger burning in his gaze. His Adam's apple moved as he let out a cold laugh, then turned and walked away. His assistant, Mark, hurried after him. When they were gone, I sat at the edge of the bed and kept scrolling. The top trending headline screamed across the screen. Madison Young's secret romance exposed, accused of playing multiple men at once. I didn't feel happy or relieved at all. The entire night, I couldn't sleep. The next morning, as soon as I stepped out of the bedroom, I saw James Carter sitting at the dining table. His face was cold and distant, his dark eyes carrying no trace of emotion. His thin lips parted slightly. Emily Thompson. My heart skipped a beat. I looked at him. What is it? He tossed a stack of photos onto the table. In them, Madison Young was kissing another man. You did this. I raised my head and shook it firmly. It wasn't me. James let out a cold laugh. Doesn't matter. Whether it was you, or someone you asked to do it, the result is the same. She's about to win Best Actress, there can't be any mistakes. I need your studio to release a statement, clearing Madison's name. Just say the woman in the photos is you. I stared at him, my voice trembling. Why does it have to be me? His tone was flat, indifferent. Because you look like her. Emily, as long as you agree, you can name any condition you want. If you want a child, I'll give you one. For 3 years of this secret marriage, James had never once wanted children. Yet now, for Madison's sake, he was using it as a bargaining chip. My vision blurred. No wonder every friend who met me for the first time would call me Little Madison. They would stare in shock, then turn to James and ask, "Is that Madison?" I would always quietly correct them, "No. I only look a little like her. My name is Emily Thompson." James rarely lost his temper in front of me. He was always calm, composed. But this was the first time he had ever shown me a cold face, because of Madison Young. At that moment, I finally understood why he never wanted to make our relationship public. Why his friends always referred to me as Little Madison. Why, even in intimacy, the name he whispered so softly was Madison. Seeing my silence, his eyes grew colder, his voice like ice. Emily Thompson, think carefully about what I said. I smiled bitterly through tears, wiping the corner of my eyes. My voice was hoarse. James, if I step in and take Madison's scandal, I'll lose my chance at winning Best Supporting Actress, won't I? His gaze remained steady, emotionless. Yes. But I can compensate you with anything, connections, roles, resources. I lowered my head, my fingers twisting nervously. My voice cracked. James, tell me, who is really your wife? For a brief second, James froze. Emily, she has worked so hard for this day. There can't be any mistakes. I'll think about it, I said softly. James Carter nodded. Before 6 p.m., give me your answer. But it wasn't even 6 yet when Madison Young's studio immediately released a statement. The recent rumors about our artist Madison Young, managed by our company, are completely false. Please stop spreading misinformation. Right after, Madison's major fan accounts began posting. Madison is one of a kind, don't make random connections. Look forward to her appearance tonight, there will be a surprise. Her PR campaign came faster and harder than I had imagined. A few tabloid outlets even began reporting. Isn't there already a Little Madison in the industry? Making trouble and then trying to pin it on the real one? Madison's studio even liked those posts. An implicit acknowledgement that shifted all blame onto me. In an instant, messages flooded my account like a storm. Comments filled with venom. Little Madison, do you even deserve this? A disgusting stand-in. Hannah saw the chaos spiraling online and immediately called me. Emily, where are you? I sent her an address, and soon she rushed in, her face tight with anger. Madison's team has gone too far this time. I investigated, James Carter himself is backing her. We can't fight someone like that. But why should you take the fall for her filth? Hands on her hips, she fumed. At worst, we'll fight back. Right now, let's post a clarification on Twitter. I tugged on her sleeve. No, don't. Hannah. I've been married for 3 years. Her face went pale. What did you just say? That man is James Carter. She froze in place, speechless for a long time. And only now did I realize, even to him, I was nothing more than Madison's shadow. This entire time, he had stood up for her, not me. Hannah gripped my hand tightly. Emily, then I'll quit the industry with you. Tonight, at the awards, we'll blow everything up. I smiled faintly and shook my head. You're too naive. There's a contract with Carter Media. We can't afford the penalties. James is the investor, he has the power. We don't. The awards ceremony that night might have been the most attention I'd ever received since stepping into Hollywood. Around me was a sea of reporters, shouting endless questions. Hannah shielded me with her arms, pushing through the crowd, guiding me toward the entrance. When I finally sat in the seat reserved for me, I could feel every gaze in the room bearing down on me from all directions. The nerve of Emily Thompson, using Madison Young's fame to lure and deceive people, and now she dares to show her face here. At the awards ceremony, I automatically tuned out all the whispers around me. Thinking about the enormous penalty fees, I forced myself to endure in silence. Under the bright spotlight, James Carter handed the award to Madison. The two of them wore matching outfits in the same shade. So that couple's look had never been prepared for me at all. I bit my lip and clenched my fists, trying to stay composed. When the ceremony ended, I quietly left the hall. Hannah looked at me with worry. I held her hand gently, reassuring her. Don't worry. Let's go home. I took a deep breath and stepped inside my apartment. An hour later, James pushed open the door and came in. He wrapped his arm around my waist from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. I smiled faintly and pushed him away. James, you once said that as long as I helped Madison, I could ask for anything. Does that still stand? The corner of his lips lifted slightly. It still stands. What do you want? I arched a brow, smiling softly. I want us to make our relationship public. The smile on his face instantly disappeared. I continued, just kidding. I don't need anything. I only need you to sign this agreement. He froze for a moment, then when his eyes fell on the document, his whole body stiffened. He stared at me in shock. His voice trembled as he tried to steady it. Emily Thompson, recently Carter Media has been producing a new film. You've never acted in a feature film since entering the industry. If you want any role, just tell me, I'll arrange it for you. I nodded lightly. James, you should look at the agreement first. He set the divorce papers aside, narrowing his eyes. Emily, you've liked me for so many years. Are you really willing to give up being Mrs. Carter? At those words, my heart skipped a heavy beat. I remembered the night at the bar when James was drunk. I had gathered all my courage to approach him, hesitated for a long time, and was about to walk away. Just as I turned, he suddenly spoke up. Weren't you bringing me water? I froze, carefully handing him the bottle. After that, we stayed in contact. 6 months later, he proposed to me. No wedding, no ceremony. Just a marriage license, signed in secret. Because of his identity and status, I didn't dare to ask for more. Yesterday, Hannah found out the truth. Madison Young was James Carter's ex-girlfriend. From the moment Madison debuted, all the best resources were poured into her. No one dared to touch her. And me? I was James's legal wife. With just one word, he could have helped me land any role. Yet I still had to memorize scripts day and night, practice acting endlessly, and beg casting directors just for a chance at a minor supporting role. I worked so hard to finally earn a second female lead, only to have it taken away. For 5 years, the actresses who started at the same time as me have already risen to leading roles, winning Best Actress awards. Meanwhile, the only film that ever got me noticed was for a supporting role. Even the Best Supporting Actress award slipped from my hands. I looked at James and said, "James, I don't need your resources. I just want a divorce." At least one thing gave me comfort: our marriage was secret, and we had no children. Divorce wouldn't be too miserable. No need to explain too much, no custody battles. James's gaze stayed calm. "Emily Thompson, are you sure?" I smiled faintly. Rumors began spreading that I had only married James to act as Madison's stand-in. Netizens pitted Madison, while I was branded as cruel. Madison's fans said I wasn't just her substitute on screen, but also her shadow in real life. When I read that comment, I sat frozen for a long, long time. After paying off the entire breach of contract penalty, even selling the first house I had ever bought, all I had left was a little money. Madison then asked to meet me at a cafe. We sat across from each other. "Emily Thompson," she said softly, "truth is, I don't think we look that much alike." Looking closely, it was true, we only shared a slight resemblance in the eyes. Hers were long and narrow. Mine were rounder. Directors who worked with me said I was more suited for lively, mischievous roles, the kind of whimsical fairy. Madison, on the other hand, fit seductive, sharp femme fatale characters. She sipped her coffee and asked casually, "Do you know why he married you?" I didn't answer. Madison lowered her head, smiling faintly. "It was to spite me." "Tell me, isn't he childish?" Then she pulled out her phone and showed me a string of messages. "James, even though you're married, don't you feel anything for me?" Madison. "James, let it go." Just an hour before James Carter and I went to register our marriage, he had sent her a message. "Madison, you really are heartless." Madison slipped her phone back into her purse, a faint, mocking smile in her eyes. "Emily, you're just an outsider. You shouldn't sacrifice yourself for the feelings between James and me. James is childish, don't be angry with him." So that's why James wanted to keep our marriage a secret. That position had never belonged to me. Being treated as my stand-in must be unbearable, isn't it? Madison straightened her back, her pale neck exposed. Her brows furrowed as she looked at me. "Emily Thompson, don't you know? A fake will always be a fake. Don't ever dream of replacing me in Hollywood, and especially not in James's heart." I said calmly, "Madison, I never thought I resembled you. Being called Little Madison is humiliating, don't you realize? You're nothing admirable. What's so good about looking like you? You're dirty, low." I gave a cold laugh. "You don't even have the courage to admit the woman in the scandal photos is you." "Oh, that's right, there's a beauty mark at the corner of my eye." "You don't have one. The woman in those photos doesn't either." "You'd better be careful, Madison. If one day I'm in a bad mood, I could let everyone know." Her expression instantly darkened. Rage flushed her face as she shot up, jabbing a finger at me. "You." I caught her finger firmly. "You what?" Then I turned and went back to James's penthouse. He had already changed into loungewear and was sitting on the sofa. I walked up to him with the divorce papers in hand. "What belongs to me, I'll take back." James lifted his head and slowly tore the papers apart, piece by piece. His voice was low, steady, without a hint of emotion. "Stop this nonsense." I looked at him seriously. "I'm not making a scene. I'm seriously talking to you. You're breaking your word. Didn't you say if I helped Madison, you'd agree to one condition of mine?" James's face was cold. "Anything but divorce, we can negotiate." I let out a bitter laugh. "Fine." James, do you dare make Madison's studio admit that the woman in the photos is really her? James fell silent, his eyes darkening, brows furrowed. Emily. I've seen her filming during her period, soaking in freezing water just for one scene. I've seen her chew on ice in the middle of winter. For the sake of an award, she's been strapped to harnesses countless times, filming dangerous stunts, her body covered in injuries. To her, that award meant everything. I couldn't hold back anymore and shouted, James. Her career is her career, what about me? Am I so worthless? If she knows how hard this path is, then she should cherish her reputation, not recklessly throw it away. That's her mistake, not something I should bear. I am not anyone's substitute. The moment I finished, my tears flowed uncontrollably. I completed all the paperwork and officially terminated my contract with the company. Almost every dollar I had earned over the years was poured into paying the breach of contract penalty. James still refused to divorce me, but I knew I could never win against him. From the very beginning, our relationship had never been equal. That day, the skies were clear. At the airport, as I waited for my flight, Hannah rushed over with a suitcase. Her eyes were red. I quit. They've gone too far. Let's leave this place together. I opened my mouth to persuade her to go back, but she cut me off. I know what you're going to say. Sure, their offer was tempting, asking me to take on a rising young star. With almost no effort, I could have become one of the top managers, second only to Madison. But Emily, without you, I wouldn't even be in this industry. Without you, I couldn't have survived here. You've never been anyone's shadow. To me, you're the only one. Hearing her words, my tears fell again. As I boarded the plane, Hannah still held tightly onto my hand. Back in New York, James sat in his office, overlooking the entire city through the massive glass windows. His assistant, Mark, was giving a report. When he mentioned Emily Thompson, Mark hesitated for a moment. One of our artists and her manager have terminated their contracts. James didn't lift his head, only gave a faint "hmm," but sensing the pause in Mark's voice, he looked up. Continue. Mark cleared his throat. Emily Thompson signed her termination papers last week. Her manager, Hannah, completed the release procedures the day before yesterday. James's brows furrowed slightly. She agreed to pay double the penalty? And what about her endorsement and film contracts still in progress? Mark nodded. Ms. Thompson hesitated for a while, but ultimately paid everything in full, all at once. James's breath caught for a second. He immediately dialed Emily's number, his hand trembling slightly as he held the phone. The first call came back with a busy signal. The second time, the phone was already switched off. James's voice turned cold. Call her, James Carter ordered. His assistant didn't hesitate, immediately dialing her number. The result was the same, this number is unavailable. A restless unease began clawing at James's chest. It felt as if something important was slipping away from him. Without another word, he bolted out of his office. Mr. Carter. You still have a meeting later, his assistant called after him. Cancel it, James snapped, his voice sharp. It's the contract signing with Ms. Madison, the assistant added cautiously. James's expression darkened, his voice tightening. I said cancel. He flung open the car door, stepped on the accelerator, and the black SUV shot out of the parking garage at full speed. Racing back to the penthouse, he yanked open the closet door. Clothes, shoes, and handbags still filled the space. Only then did he exhale in relief, his chaotic heart momentarily soothed. Just then, his phone buzzed. It was William Zhao. James, you suspected Emily Thompson would terminate her contract, that's why you ordered me to double the penalty fee, right? James clenched the phone tightly, eyes shutting. Yes. William sighed. Her termination payment just went through. 2 transfers, exact amount. It's done. James's eyes flew open, his voice trembling at the end of the sentence. You mean, she really terminated it? The moment I set foot in the airport, my phone was flooded with notifications. All confirmations, termination successful. From that second, my whole body felt lighter. During the negotiations, the company demanded I pay double the penalty fee. Their reason: I had brought too much negative publicity. I knew it was James behind this. To him, that sum was nothing. But to me, it was everything I had scraped together after years of struggling in New York. I sold my house, my car, gathered every dollar I could. I sold all the luxury jewelry James had ever given me. James had always been extravagant with gifts. Every piece was high-end, most of them limited editions. The only item I sold at a loss was the ring. Only when I tried to sell it did I discover an engraving inside. The initials of his and my last names intertwined. Because of that, it wasn't easy to resell, and the price was pressed down sharply. The store manager looked at me, half joking, half serious. "Are you sure about this? These pieces hold their value. Right now you're taking an 80% loss. Later on, don't regret it if we refuse to buy them back." I gave a faint smile. "I'm sure. Go ahead with the paperwork. I need the money quickly." Once the transaction was complete and the items checked, the money was wired to my account. But it didn't stay there long. Almost immediately, I transferred it to another account. I let out a soft sigh. Hannah squeezed my hand tightly. "Emily, even if I couldn't make you famous everywhere, I'm still satisfied. You're truly capable. Before you, every artist I managed eventually faded out of the industry. But you're different." I arched a brow and smiled. "Don't comfort me. I'm not desperate. I'm not suicidal. I just want to take a break for a while." Hannah and I traveled to many countries. Near the new year, we flew to Tibet. During the months that Emily Thompson was away from New York, James's assistant Mark investigated her whereabouts every single day. The last trace of her travels showed her leaving Mexico. After that, there was no record of her anywhere. At an auction, James happened to see familiar jewelry pieces. The auction manager immediately traced their source. The store manager from years ago reported back, the seller was Emily Thompson. Back then, she had urgently needed cash to pay off her contract termination, so she sold all her luxury goods at 20% below market value, taking only 80 cents on the dollar. James's eyelids grew heavy, his eyes dark. He paid an enormous sum to buy back all the jewelry Emily had once sold, including their wedding ring. But the ache in his chest was impossible to suppress. William Zhao tried persuading him many times. "Tell her you'll agree to divorce. I promise you, within a minute, she'll show up." James gave a bitter smile, his voice hoarse. "William, I don't want a divorce." William looked at him carefully. "James, Madison's been contacting me nonstop lately. Are you really sure you feel nothing for her anymore?" James suddenly lifted his head. "William, from the moment I chose to marry Emily, I truly let Madison go. Maybe once there was a bit of unwillingness. But now I'm certain, what I felt for her was never love, only stubborn pride." Later, when James returned to his building and looked up, he suddenly saw a familiar silhouette. His pupils tightened instantly. He rushed forward. Under the streetlight, when he saw her face clearly, his expression froze and turned cold again. "What are you doing here?" Madison only smiled. "James, I'm back. Aren't you happy? Why are you avoiding me?" James Carter stepped back, deliberately keeping his distance. After a brief silence, he replied coldly. "Madison, I'm married." Madison let out a laugh. "If I hadn't gone abroad to study, would she have had that chance?" "James, have you forgotten? She's just my substitute." James's brows knitted together, his voice icy. "Madison, she's not anyone's substitute. I don't ever want to hear you say things like that again." Madison's expression crumbled. "James, didn't you once admit her eyes reminded you of mine?" James clenched his fists tightly. "Her eyes have a beauty mark. You don't. You'll never compare to her. Madison's entire body trembled. You're saying I lost to her? James didn't even glance at her again. He turned and walked back into the house. I knew James was still trying every possible way to find me. He even reached out to Hannah once. I told her to pass along my message. Unless it's divorce, I won't come back for the next 3 years. He kept tracking my movements overseas, but the truth was, I had already been back in the country for 2 years. Hannah and I spent those 2 years in Tibet, working as volunteers. With weak internet and almost no connection to the outside world, we rarely touched our phones. The past slowly faded. Some things, once they happen, are nearly impossible to reverse. Like rumors. Like scandals. Once they exist, no matter how much you explain, no matter what the truth is, people will only believe what they want to believe. I knew, in James's heart, I never had much value. I couldn't win against him, and I could never win against Madison either. The first year after leaving, I even considered plastic surgery. But Hannah pulled me to Tibet instead. Bit by bit, I let everything go. When the 3 years were finally up, Hannah and I boarded a flight back to New York. The very first thing I did after returning was to file for divorce from James Carter. When I appeared in his office, I saw his eyes darken, and then, suddenly, light up. For a brief moment, he froze in shock. Emily. I nodded, my voice calm. Still the same matter. What belongs to me, I won't let a single dollar be missing. His voice shook slightly as he asked, Do you hate me? I gave a faint, bitter smile. No. I don't hate you. He instantly let out a breath of relief. I continued evenly, James, when you truly stop loving someone, you don't even have the strength to hate them anymore. I don't want anything from you anymore. From now on, you and I have nothing to do with each other. James Carter froze. His eyes reddened, a thin sheen of tears rising. James, in 10 minutes I'll make a public statement. The truth, that I wasn't the actress in that scandal 3 years ago. The whole world will know. I want both you and Madison to apologize to me. James's voice caught. You don't need to post it. I've already prepared the PR response. Before you could act, I had already issued the official clarification. At the same time, major media outlets simultaneously picked up the story. Within minutes, social media erupted. Everything that never should have been pinned on me was finally returned. James, I prepared for this for a long time. We've been separated for 3 years. Legally, the court can rule for divorce. James shook his head. But I don't want that. Just then, Hannah burst into the room. She grabbed the teapot and flung it straight at James. Do you even know what Emily has endured? She's been mocked as a counterfeit. People photoshopped her into funeral portraits. Every year, on her birthday, she received countdowns to her death. Madison's fans cursed her, saying she wouldn't live past 8 years. She even considered plastic surgery because of it. James looked up at me, his eyes trembling. His voice cracked. I'm sorry. I stayed calm, direct. James, Madison once soaked herself in ice water during her period for the sake of a role. But tell me, what actress hasn't endured something like that? What I've been through, she's never even experienced a fraction of. James, since her debut, hasn't Madison always had a smooth path? So why am I the one branded as Little Madison? Why was I cursed, forced into nothing but substitute roles? In your eyes, I was her replacement. And in reality, the world saw me the same way. Now that she's back, I'm begging you, let me go. James lowered his head, his eyes bloodshot. He whispered. You're not her substitute in my heart. You're not like her. I love you because you're you. I let out a bitter, mocking laugh. James, in the 3 years we've been hiding our marriage, how many people even knew about us? If not for your childish need to spite Madison, you never would have married me. His Adam's apple shifted as he spoke hoarsely. That's not true. I admit, at first, part of it was to spite her. But I would never gamble my entire life on something so petty. I'm ready to make our relationship public. I'll hold a real wedding with you, I said, but I don't need it anymore. When the truth was finally exposed, Madison Young fell from the clouds straight into the abyss. Her fans began to turn against her, and many netizens shifted their sympathy toward me. Under the pressure of public opinion, I successfully obtained the divorce certificate from James Carter. He lowered his head, regret heavy in his voice. I regret it now. I laughed bitterly. So do I. I regret ever marrying you. I received half of James's assets but took no shares, because his company stock was already plummeting, nearly worthless. Through her personal account, Hannah revealed the entire truth. James and Madison became the prime targets of public criticism. People cursed James for being spineless, while others condemned Madison as fake and manipulative. Numerous entertainment agencies, seeking to profit from the buzz, reached out to me with offers to sign contracts. Hannah asked me if I still wanted to keep acting. I nodded. And just like that, she became my manager once more. We returned to where we had first begun. And we never lacked the courage to start over. From then on, I shed the label of Little Madison. Fans and netizens gradually forgot her name. However brilliant she once was, Madison's downfall was just as miserable. Those who once stood at the top rarely accept falling so easily. The second time I met James again was 3 years after my comeback. That year, I won Best Actress. I was 33 years old. Standing under the stage lights, tears shimmered in my eyes. I had waited far too long for this moment. In the audience, Hannah waved at me with a radiant smile. Her lips moved. I'm proud of you. I smiled back and nodded. I knew one small scandal couldn't topple Carter Enterprises completely. But it had hurt them deeply. As I stepped off the stage, James and I brushed past each other. His voice trembled as he called my name. Emily. I didn't stop. Only a fleeting glance showed me he was holding the wedding ring I had once sold off cheaply. My heart clenched faintly. Backstage, Hannah took my hand again. Thank you. Ever since I was little, I dreamed of becoming the best manager. You helped me achieve that dream. But in truth, it was Hannah who helped me fulfill my own dream. I tilted my head and said softly, Call me Emily, but know this. Choo-choo, you're the one who made my dream a reality. The truth was, for us, each of us had become irreplaceable in the other's life. As for James Carter, he deserved to spend the rest of his life in pain, regret, and torment.